Hey everyone, today on GardenFork we're going to talk about how to identify sugar maples for when you want to make maple syrup. I get this question a lot from really across the country and across the world. What is a sugar maple? Is it different than other maples? And I thought I'd make a video to show you guys when you're prepping for your mapling season, you should start in the late summer and fall beforehand. Usually you tap your trees around President's Day. That's at least what we do here in North Connecticut. But I want to show you sugar maples. This is one right here. Probably the easiest way to identify sugar maples from other maples, and I'm specifically talking about the Norway maple, which is a maple tree that is in a lot of suburban yards, and people think, oh, it's a maple tree, I can tap it. Well, you could, but the sugar content of the sap is so low that you'll be boiling forever. The sugar content in a sugar maple is about 40 to 1. In other words, you have to boil down 40 gallons of sugar maple sap to get 1 gallon of syrup. And that's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. But let me show you a sugar maple leaf. And the key thing here is the bottom, these are called lobes. I don't remember what the word is here, but where the two different parts of the leaf join, this has a very gentle half circle curve to it. The other maples, it's a much sharper angle where it joins. So that is a big key. Also, notice the size of the leaf compared to my hand. It's kind of a medium-sized leaf. Something to pay attention to. The bark of a sugar maple is kind of unique as well. When they're younger, they're smoother, and as they get older, they get what I call craggy. I mean, I can just walk down the road now and kind of ID, oh, there's sugar maples there. But it'll take a little bit of practice for you. There's also a book that I'm going to recommend. I'll link in the show notes here. It's called Bark. It's a tree identification book that is based on the bark of trees. It's really handy because in the winter, if you're on a hike and you're like, oh, what kind of tree that is, you can look it up in your bark book. I like that. All right, let's go look at some bark, okay? So right here, right next to each other, are a red maple and a sugar maple. So let's take a look, okay? This is a red maple, and you can tap red maples. The leaves are smaller than a sugar maple. Here's the red maple bark. Quite a bit different. This is the bark of a young sugar maple, and you can see a little bit of that gray splotchiness on here. And then here are the leaves, and notice the size of them. Again, compared to my hand, look at the size of that. Red maple is on the right, sugar maple is on the left. Here's a sugar maple about 18 inches in diameter. Just another idea what the bark will look like at midlife. This is a young sugar maple, and you can see this kind of gray splotchy fungus that grows on the maples. Another thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about tapping trees is don't tap small trees. That's my opinion. Other people may differ on that. But unless it's at least 12 inches in diameter, I don't tap them. And I really kind of under tap trees. I've seen other people put what I think are way too many taps in a tree. In a young tree, I'll put 1 tap. In an adult tree, I'll put 2. And maybe if it's a huge tree, I'll put 3. But that's the limit. I usually put 2 taps per tree. And I'm happy with that. It makes plenty of syrup. You know, I'm not here to make a living from it. It's just a kind of a hobby homestead kind of thing for me. It's being out in the winter with your friends, boiling something down, and then it tastes really good right there at your evaporator. We have a ton of videos about making maple syrup and tapping trees, by the way. The links are at the end of the show, in the little eye in the sky up here, and in the show notes below as well. All right. All these sugar maples are right next to our beehives. I'm down at my friend Bill's farm here. If you like beekeeping or interested in that, we have a bunch of videos about that as well. Again, links are at the end of the show, and show notes here. A little rainy here, but they're still flying out. Bees are bees, man. They're pretty amazing. Let me go show you over here a really old maple and what can happen. This is an ancient sugar maple. And one way you can tell if it's a sugar maple is it has old tap holes which heal, but notice these taps are about 6 inches apart, and that's what you should do as well throughout the years. But as sugar maples get older, they also lose limbs. So this is not a tree that should be tapped anymore, and they don't tap it here. More tapping holes. Those are old, they heal, the tree lives. With I think conscientious tapping, the trees do quite fine. Another thing I've noticed about sugar maples is that they tend to turn color a lot sooner than the other trees in fall, like these. All right, now you are a sugar maple identification expert. You can also tap red maples, that's okay. You can't tap Norway maples, it just doesn't work. Questions or comments? Do you have some suggestions? I would like to hear from you below. Again, I'm just an amateur maple syrup maker guy. I have a really cool, what I think is a really cool homemade evaporator. Link is in the below and at the end of the show here as well. And just a bunch of other videos of me doing stuff. I guess like my friend Will calls it weekend homesteading or eclectic DIY. But I'd like to hear from you down below in the comments here. And as always, make it a great day and go out and do cool stuff. See you.